Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. I'm Mike Good of Together in This, and I'll be your host today. Welcome to this Together in This empowerment training, where we provide training to empower you to fight back against dementia. These workshops are interactive, so let's get things started by having you type into the chat on the right-hand side of your screen and let us know where you're from or what your role is with dementia. Are you a family member, a friend, or a professional? Don't be shy and know that your interaction helps reduce my anxiety, which is up a little bit right now for some reason because my technology was failing me for a brief moment there. Today, we're joined by Connie Bohager, who will help us all learn strategies to achieve our caregiving goals by working with the person who has dementia and not forcing our agenda upon them. It's good to have an agenda or a to-do list, but if it's rigid and you're forcing it upon your loved one, you will likely fail and become very frustrated, among other things. Now, before I introduce Connie, let me quickly cover some administrative information about this event. As mentioned, on the right-hand side of the screen is where we interact. In this chat area is where you can ask your questions or make comments. Also, we're broadcasting in high-definition video into your location, which requires a lot of computer resources. So if you've got other applications open, coupled with a slow internet service, and other people are streaming video in your home, you may see a reduction in quality. So I highly recommend you close these other applications and boot everybody off the internet. And I'm just kidding. But anyway, so also if you have any audio or video issues, you should see a reconnect button at the bottom of your screen. Simply click that, that'll reboot your browser, and you should come back in and resolve all your issues. Worst case, close your browser all the way and re-enter through the link that brought you here. Now, if you lose us, just give us a minute to come back in, but that hasn't happened in a long time. So, wow, I see the chat filling up over there, so I'm looking forward to seeing who's coming online. All right, well, now on to the introduction. Connie is a licensed practical nurse, LPN, and certified independent trainer under Teepa Snow's Positive Approach to Care. She has personal experience in all stages of Alzheimer's, from caring for her mother. Connie became a nurse during her time caring for her mom and has spent 15+ years caring for others and helping families understand and navigate various types of dementia. As a Christian, she has a biblical view, and through her website, ConnieTheCaregiverCoach.com, she offers training and coaching to bring healing to your spirit, mind, and body. Welcome, Connie.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Sorry, I hit the broadcast button, and my whole computer just kind of stopped working. You know,
oh goodness!
I've been on here for an hour just because I'm anxious, and then the very first thing is like freezes on me. So, but I'm coming. My nerves are coming back. So I mean, I'm getting them chilled.
Well, good. I want to thank you for that lovely introduction, and I want to thank you for having me here today to share with your audience this important topic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And I see there's a lot of people out here. I saw someone from Poland. Hello, and welcome. Wow. And that's great. Yes, it's true. I cared for my mother for from the very beginning stages. We had no idea that she needed help in that area. I had taken her in because she had some physical issues, and she's never been sick, but she was falling. And so during the course of her living with me, I started to recognize that her cognition was declining. And of course, as the stages went, so did I. But I loved every minute of it, as I'm sure all of you family caregivers out there do, and taught me a lot. And I wish I knew then all that I know now. So I've dedicated the rest of my life to sharing and helping people understand this disease that keeps changing, and help them to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish with their loved one. The area that we're going to discuss today is agendas, and I get this more from the from the folks in a facility, because, and I'll tell you why. To me, a goal is something that you can set, but if you don't meet it, you know, you can push it out. At least I always have. So agendas are more of something that, a task that you feel that you have to get done in a certain amount of time. And of course, this really does apply in a facility. So, but it also does apply to those of us who care for people at home, because we feel that we are responsible for everything that happens. And it's unfortunate because that puts a lot of undue stress on us. But I'm going to go ahead and get started today. I want to talk to you about, I'm going to name a person. If this is not a real person, but I'm going to give you a story here. And my gal's name is Harriet. And Harriet is a middle-aged mother of 3 children, and she recently lost her father. She recently lost her mother. And 6 months before this, her mother passed away. And she's always been very, very close to her dad. And she started noticing some changes. And so she attributed a lot of the changes to the fact that he was now a widower and living by himself, and he'd never done that before. And he was having some challenges. So they'd always had a very good, close relationship. But like I said, she starts noticing these changes, cognitive changes in her dad. And he begins to repeat himself, the same stories over and over again that she's heard a million times, but he keeps telling her the same stories, keeps asking her the same questions. And she's not really sure what's happening. Now, Harriet has a career, so she's working, 3 kids, a husband, a house to take care of. So she's got all the normal things, and now she's worried about her father. And one day, Harriet gets a phone call from her dad, and he is in a panic. And she's like, "Dad, what's wrong?" And he said, "I don't know where I am." And she said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "I've been driving for hours, and I'm lost." And she said, "Now, wait a minute, Dad, where were you headed? Where did you want to go?" And he said, "To the grocery store." "Look around and tell me what you see." And he said, "I don't recognize anything." So Harriet now knows that she sees the writing on the wall, that things are more serious than she suspected. Now, she's got 2 siblings. She's got a sister that lives in the same vicinity as her and her dad. And she's got a brother that lives out of town who's very well off. And the brother was just in 6 months ago for the funeral, and he's always been a little detached because he's nowhere near, you know, where they live. But Harriet decides that she needs to get her family together to discuss what's going on with Dad and make some decisions. So she calls her brother, and he blows her off. He tells her, "You know, you guys take care of it. You're close to the situation. I'm 2,000 miles away, and, you know, my life is busy." Like hers isn't. So she tries to get her sister involved. And of course, she's going to include her father because there's decisions that need to be made, and these need to be made up front. And her sister does the same thing. In essence, tells her, "I know you can handle things. You go ahead." So here's Harriet left to make the decision. What do I do? Do I quit my job? Do I, you know, take Dad in? Where is he going to live? These are all decisions that a family should make together. And the reason for that is because if you don't make these decisions together, later on down the road, there's going to be problems because people are going to question the judgment of the person that is giving the care. And there are legal ramifications that need to be addressed. And if they're not addressed while a person still has cognition, you can't address them later when they no longer can make those decisions. And if you've ever worked in a facility, or if you know people that do, you understand that if there is not a power of attorney in place, then you definitely have some problems, because there's no one in charge, and that is not a good situation. So you want to address that early. So now the reason I'm painting this picture is because I want you to understand where Harriet is. She is stressed out to the max. She is having to make major decisions about what to do with her dad without the help of her family. And an important statistic is that 4 out of 5 families dealing with a loved one with dementia fall apart. And that is because of the lack of cooperation and understanding of this disease. So it's important that people be educated. So I'm so glad you're here. So can you understand Harriet's position? Can you feel what Harriet's feeling? And if you've ever experienced anything like this, go ahead and put it in the chat that you get this, that this is something very real to you, and it may have happened to you in your caregiving experience. And I'll give it a few minutes so I can see. I see a lot of people are chatting over here, which is great.
Yeah, we've got a full house. We've got people, like you said, from Poland who I had to look it up. It's 1 a.m. So, we've got some real dedicated people. We got several PAC trainers online. I appreciate everybody being here like that. And, and Delane says, getting lost was one of the first symptoms they encountered. And what a scary, scary feeling for your family when that happens. And
yes,
had a neighbor got lost once, and it was scary for all of us. So back to you, Connie.
Okay, so there's a lot of you that can relate to Harriet's situation and her dilemma as to what's happening. So she's had to quit her job, and she decides to take her dad in. And so she's got this built up anger, okay, for her siblings. And although she tries to stuff it down, it boils up, and she thinks about it, and it just irritates the heck out of her. And it's beginning to show, and she doesn't realize it. And now Dad, when he is telling a story and he misstates the facts, Harriet starts to correct him. And he's also mixing up 2 stories, 2 time frames, in fact. And so she's trying to straighten him out. And so what happens is they begin to bicker, and they start bickering over everything. And as time progresses, she realizes that Dad's getting more and more agitated, and he's even to the point of aggression. And he's never been like this. Harriet has always been his favorite daughter, and they've never had this stress in their relationship. So why do you think this is happening? Why do you think he is reacting this way? And if you want to just quickly put something in the chat, go ahead, because I want to know if you kind of get where Harriet's coming from and where Dad is coming from, how he's feeling. So what I want you to do is kind of step back and put yourself in Dad's shoes. And as she's correcting him, how does he feel? This is her dad that she's straightening out. Okay.
Yeah, we're all definitely sensitive to other people's emotions, and even, people with dementia, it's possibly heightened. I believe, anytime we try to force something upon anybody, and don't give them time to understand or talk straight with them or share with them why we're doing something. And it's not easy in dementia care, of course, but it's definitely that kind of reaction is definitely can be expected.
Exactly. Do you like to be corrected when you're telling a story? If you get the facts mixed up? Okay.
I don't. I know my wife doesn't either. Oops.
I don't think any of us do. And I think as caregivers, when we see this happening, we want so much for the person to remember how it really was. And does it really matter? Okay, and that's what you have to ask yourself. Does it really matter? And we're going to get into this a little bit more. So often when we approach caregiving with an agenda, okay, we feel that we must complete it. And I know that I am an advocate of creating a daily schedule. If you're familiar with my caregiver handbook or, you know, the things that I've shared. The reason for the schedule, especially in the beginning phases of dementia, is to first of all involve the person in planning the day. Okay. But I also warn you that, and can almost guarantee you that you're not going to get everything on your schedule done. So don't even try. I mean, it is an exercise to share something with the individual. And it can be things like, you know, take a walk, call the doctor, reminders for you and cues for you so that you don't forget. Because sometimes when you're in a stressed state, you forget those things that you want to do, and then the evening comes and you go, oh darn it, I didn't call the doctor, oh darn it, I didn't do this. So if you have a schedule, you have something written down, that's basically for you and your loved one to refer to, but it's not something that you have to do. When I'm talking about agenda, I'm talking about things that you have in your head that you need to do today, like give dad a shower. Okay, and I'm picking that because in my coaching and in my experience, that is probably one of the hardest areas to address and to accomplish, because so many people with dementia are resistant to taking a shower. So if you have this going on in your caregiving experience, what I ask you to think about is, or to think in your mind, have you ever tried to figure out why the person doesn't like a shower, why they're resistant to it? And I can give you two of the main reasons that I hear all the time from people with dementia. One that I heard over and over with my own mother was, number one, they're cold, okay, and number two, the water beating on their skin. And if you get that, okay, and you understand that this is one of the problems, you can pretty much avoid it by making sure that the bathroom is heated and warm before you ever go in there, and making sure that you have a handheld that you can adjust the spray. Because I would not suggest you putting the person in a tub and trying to get them out. Unless they're very young and are able and agile enough to do that, you will be stuck trying to get them out and have to call the fire department. So my suggestion is, if you don't have a walk-in shower, that you definitely, you know, if you're using a tub, and that's another thing, that you might have to revamp your home for this situation. But anyways, so we approach this, and you need to understand what the person and why they're resisting and why they don't like getting showered. Now, so the caregiver agenda is a bunch of tasks. It could be dressing, eating, toileting, bathing, drinking, these sort of things. Your activities of daily living is what we really think that we have to get done. Another one is medication. Sometimes people are resistant to taking medication, and you have a hard time getting them to take it. And we have a little trick for that. But so anyways, so let me explain, or better still demonstrate. So as I explain this, I want you to imagine it, and I want you to do it with me. And the reason for that is, if you act something out, if you actually participate in role play or something along those lines, you are more apt to remember it long term, and it will make an inroad in your mind so that you won't forget it. So what I want you to do is, I want you to look at your hand, and I love using the hand because your hand is always attached to the end of your arm, and you'll never forget where you put it, okay? So on your hand is your agenda for today, and today's agenda is whatever it is, okay? And so you walk in and you look at your hand and you say, okay, this is what we need to get done today. And this is my agenda. Okay. Now, where your loved one is concerned, he may or may not want to participate. And you know in advance that he doesn't want to participate in this. So I want you to look at your hand and you see that this is my agenda. Now, I want you to close your eyes, okay? You still have your hand out in front of you, but close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that I am standing directly in front of you, okay? And I have a hand too. Now, I want you to open your eyes, and I'm going to shove my agenda right in your face. Now, I want you to think, what did that do?
You just
How
scared
did
the
you
heck out
feel?
of me.
Go ahead, Mike. How did you feel?
Oh, you scared me. No.
Okay, that was the point.
Yeah.
So when we shove our agenda at somebody, and I'm looking over in the chat, folks, go ahead and put what you felt. Did it shock you, like it shocked Mike?
We did get some good answers to your previous question too, and I think all of those answers were correct. And it's not it's not black and white, right? Each individual is different, so it's just that we want to be observing and trying to understand what's causing them to be resistant, for lack of better words, or maybe that's the right word. And then try to adapt and change and just wanted to mention because there was quite a few answers came through.
And I see them now, and I apologize because the chat is a little slower than it's about 20-second delay. So I apologize, but yes, I do see the answers there, and they are great. And I'm so glad you're participating because that shows that you're interested in this, and hopefully you're getting something out of this. But so often we don't think about that when we have an agenda to accomplish. All we're thinking about is, I got to get this done. Okay, so and yes, we don't consider their feelings, and we don't always understand why they're resistant. We don't take the time to find out. So, and you're right, Mike, they might have their own agenda. True. And we don't know what it is, because if the person can no longer communicate as they once did, we might not know what they want to do that day. And so often I would see, especially in a facility, people who were no longer verbal and would become agitated and, maybe going to a particular door or a particular place and just being out of control and wondering, what are they doing? But that's where I say, especially for you professionals out there, if you can find out about the background of a person, you might find out what it is they're doing. We had one person who, in the middle of the night, he would go around and check all the doors in the facility. And of course, you can't have him walking into everybody's room, which he did not. He checked the doors. Well, we questioned the family and found out he was a night watchman, and that was his job. So he was doing his job. So when you understand that, you have a better perspective of what's going on with these folks. You see, they're still people inside. They are still who they were, but they're different. So, I love your answers over here. Yes, frightened and felt forced upon. Exactly. And how often do we, with our agendas, force it upon our carees, the people that we're caring for? And, just walking up to them and straightening out their clothes or whatever it is we do, and not thinking of how we are approaching them and how we may be causing some of the problems that we see. So that's basically what I wanted to share there. Now,
So Connie.
yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to address Delaine's comment as well, is that she says her husband always says, I'm trying to boss him. I get that in my personal relationship with my wife. she's just got a tone. It's not that she's trying to boss me, but it's her tone, or it's just the way she approaches me. I'm working on something, and she interrupts me with something that's important to her at the time, and it gets me elevates my stress a little bit, and it's kind of, and it's just that tone. And I think so many of their feelings are no different than how any of the rest of us feel in given situations. So
Exactly. And we forget that, Mike. We really do. We forget, because we have all these pressures and stresses. We forget that these are people with the same emotions and feelings that all of us have. And so often we want to address the physical needs that we forget about the emotional and the inner needs that this person has. I've seen so many people be approached incorrectly. And caregivers, well-meaning caregivers will say, especially to a parent, you need to get in the shower because you stink. Okay, now, I don't know about you, but that I don't think would go over very well, okay, with anybody. And I even did this, so I'm going to confess here. Mom, you need to change your shirt. You've been wearing it 3 days. No, I just put this on. No, Mom, you've had the same shirt on for 3 days now, and you've got food dripped all over the front. This is an actual conversation, by the way. And she said, you're crazy. My mother always said, you're crazy. She'd say, I just put this on. It's clean. I said, Mom, you have chocolate ice cream dripped all down the front of your shirt. And then the argument begins. And what's happening is I'm pushing and she's pushing. Okay, as I push, she's pushing back, which is a natural human reaction. And who needs to change? Who needs to make the change here? Can we really expect our loved one to change so that they agree with us? And if we think that, who's got dementia? So we are the ones that need to take a hard look, and we're the ones that need to change. We're going to have to not share with this person everything that we used to share. Because if we show them our agenda and it's not where they are at the time, and they push back, okay, then things can get really ugly. So what I'm saying is, when you have an agenda, whatever it might be, when you approach that person, don't show them your agenda. Keep it hidden. And find out where they are. Are they agitated? Are they upset about anything? Are they in a good mood? You know, if you're in a good mood, your wife can approach you with something like she wants to spend $100 on something or whatever. But if you're in a bad mood, she's going to hold back and not share that with you. Okay, so it's much the same way. And I don't think we think about this when we think about our caregiving. I think we forget that they are still the people that they were, only different. So we don't take into account that there are changes that are occurring every single day in this person. And what happened yesterday, you may have gotten them in the shower yesterday with no problem, may not happen today. And we have to be prepared for that. So we must always be prepared that change is coming, and we need to be prepared with a correct reaction. And that's hard because we don't know what's coming. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this scenario. I'm going to give you another little scenario here. And let me look over in the chat for a second here. Just how important was the task? Yes, that's true. And how important was it? That it had to get done this minute, this time, today. Now, I understand that there are situations where, it's time for a doctor's appointment or something like that, and that's where you need to get prepared way ahead of time. in your attitude and, you know, how things are going with your loved one. But I'm going to share with you something, a couple things coming up here that I think are really going to jar your thinking here. Your mother has always been more than competent. She is a take charge person. She has a very significant and high-ranking management position with a very large company. She has always been well organized. She has always been neat as a pin. She dresses to the T's. She is impeccable. Her house has always been straight, nothing out of place. And one day you walk in and there are papers piled high on the kitchen table, all kinds of things, junk mail, everything is just there. She is not well kempt. Her clothes, you know, she has no makeup on, her hair's a mess. And you look at her and you walk into the bedroom and all of her clothes are all over the bed and on the floor. And you're like, oh my, and in the bathroom, everything's pulled out of the medicine cabinet. And it looks like a bomb went off in the house. And your response is you walk over and you go, what in the world happened? What are you doing? And she responds that she's organizing things and that she's taking care of it. And that she is putting everything away. Don't worry about it. Everything's just fine. And I got it under control. I'm just trying to sort out what I need and what I don't need. But really what's happening is that she is pulling it out because she doesn't want to miss anything. And yet she can't figure out where anything is anyways now. It's all over the place. But what has happened is that she realizes that she is losing it. She realizes that things are not the way they were. Her memory is failing. She can't remember things of recent activity. You know, I know I had this piece of paper in my hand and now I can't find it. And retracing her steps to find it aren't working. So she doesn't want anyone else to know that there are issues and there are problems. So now you have had suspicions because of conversations with her, but now she tells you to leave because you have discovered that there's something going on with her, and you try to convince her that she needs help. And what she does is gets angry with you and shuts you out. And you tell her that you're going to hire someone to come in and help her, and she tells you, anybody you hire, I'm going to fire. So you may as well, you know, just forget it. And if you do that, and if you push that, she'll fire you too. And you don't want that to happen. So a better response would have been to look at the situation, take your deep breath, but not let her see it, and ignore it and say, let's go get lunch, or let's have a cup of coffee, or how's your day been, or something. Ignore it. And that is so hard for us because now you've had this woman that is so strong and so competent, and you see, and it's crushing. It is. But if you can expect this, or you know, you're not ever going to expect it, but if you can handle it properly, you're far better off than handling it the wrong way.
I visualizing that, I'd be shocked if anybody can step into that situation in the initial time and not, you know, screw up, if you will, and say the wrong thing, because it'd be such a scary thing for everyone, right? Mom's scared, you're scared. There's so much ignorance about dementia for people that haven't, you know, they don't even know how to spell Alzheimer's, and that's literally true. And but I think the key there is to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you accept that you screwed up and just try to do better next time, right?
Absolutely.
You're gonna make mistakes.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when you make a mistake, ask for forgiveness, tell them you're sorry, and shake it off and move forward, because you're the one that is going to have to guide the ship. And the better you get at it, okay, the less resistance and the less issues you're going to have. So we all have made mistakes, and I made plenty of them. Everybody here has made plenty of mistakes. So you're not going to get out of this without sidestepping, and some of them are going to be big mistakes, but that's okay, because first of all, your loved one's going to forget about it. Praise the Lord. And you need to forget about it and move forward. Just learn from it and move forward. So what I want you to get in this is to stop pushing, okay? And because what happens is, when you're pushing, you push one way, they push the other. If you let go, if you stop pushing, guess what? They have nothing to push against, and it restores the situation. So I want to give you another scenario. I want to give you a fantastic, what a friend of mine shared with me, who is a caregiver for a lady that is shower resistant. And Judy offered, is there a question?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead. And she's asking, what strategy would you basically use? Could you have used when you saw Mom with her things all spread out?
Just what I said, ignore it.
Or help her. I mean, like Judy's asking.
She doesn't want your help. She doesn't want your help because she doesn't want you to know that there's a problem, you see. Mm-hmm. And when we uncover that problem and we let them see that we see the problem, they're going to hide it that much more. And they're going to tell you not to come back, because they need that stuff out, they think, so that they know where it all is. Okay.
So basically, offer to help, but when there's resistance, go ahead and back off.
Right.
Choose your battles, kind of dealish. I think Cheryl kind of said earlier too. But okay.
Good advice. Very good advice. Let me see what Lori said here. When my client gets upset about a topic.
I think it's very important that we all think about prioritizing which tasks are, vital to get done versus can wait, or does Mom really need a clean shirt on? Is she going somewhere? Can we live with a little ice cream on her shirt, knowing that she might, spill a little more later or something? So, to Connie.
Very true, Mike. Very, very true. And affirming feelings, Cheryl said, yes, absolutely. And we have to think more in the feeling area, because these folks are losing the ability to communicate. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but we caregivers like to talk a lot, okay? They're not following us. They're looking at our facial expression and the tone of our voice. So, because one of the first things that goes in dementia is language skills. And along with memory, it's not a memory problem, but we'll get into that. So we need to learn how to change from the way we are doing things today, if we're doing them wrong, and figure out how to do things so that they work. So let me give you another example. You want to give Mom a shower, and she's resistant, and this friend of mine works in a facility. It's not a nursing home, it's an assisted living. And I don't know if you're familiar with assisted living, but they're very lean and mean on staff. Much leaner and meaner than nursing homes. So this woman is in an assisted living, and they're really not assisting her with much, because my friend goes there a couple times a week, and she's always in the same clothes that she was in when she left her. So they're not helping her get undressed at night. They're not getting her up in the morning. They're not doing any hygiene with her. So it's all left to my friend. And of course, she is shower resistant. And so she has figured out a brilliant way to give this woman a shower every time she's there. And I'll share it with you because I just think everybody needs to know this. And if it works for you, fantastic. She toilets her in the morning. When she gets there in the morning, they go to the bathroom. She's sitting on the toilet. And when she gets her up, and as she's there, she says, Mildred, and this is a made-up name, Mildred, let's change your socks today. Oh, okay. So she'll get her socks off her. And so when she goes to get her up to get everything back together, she goes, Mildred, I hate to tell you this, but you're soiled. And we're gonna have to rinse it off. Mildred goes, oh, all right. So she said, well, let me get your pants off. So she takes the pants off and gets her into the shower. And so as she does this, Mildred gets in, she gets the water going, makes it nice and warm before she gets in there. And I always say have a handheld so that the person can control the water flow. And you want to have one that isn't going to be a very, strong sensation. So anyway, she gets her in the shower and she says, here, I'll rinse off back here. And she gives her the soap and water on a washcloth and she says, go ahead and go ahead and wash yourself. So Mildred's washing and my friend has the handheld and she gets her shirt wet. Oh my goodness, look what I did. I am so sorry. Mildred, we got to get that shirt off because you are going to get cold. So she gets her shirt off of her. And she said, well, since you're wet and since your shirt's off, why don't you go ahead and wash your upper body? So Mildred goes ahead and washes her upper body. And as she's doing that, she puts the shampoo on her hair. She gets her hair washed. And she gets her out of the shower. And there has been absolutely no fight and no argument. And this is what she does every day that she's there. And Mildred forgets from day to day that this has happened. So I think it's a brilliant way to get this lady in a shower without a fight. So if any of you have a story of how you do it, feel free to share it. We'll look for that in the chat. But I just love this scenario because it works so well. And it'll work in a nursing home. It'll work in an assisted living. It will work anywhere. So I encourage you, if you're having issues, try it and see if it works for you. We have to stop fighting our way and trying to get, we're trying to reality orient the people we're caring for. Because reality orientation has absolutely no place in dementia. We did that years ago. We were, the training back then was to bring them into our reality. No, that's not true. This is what happened or whatever. And it didn't work then and it doesn't work now. And it has no place in dementia care. So their reality and our reality will never be in the same place again. So who's got to change the reality? This is a fact that all caregivers need to accept. And this is the only way you're going to have peace of mind and be able to relate to what your loved one is feeling and where they are. So often you hear stories of folks that are asking to go home. And so a family member will come and pick them up from the facility and take them to their old home. And they go, no, this isn't my house. Well, why does that happen? Because they are back at the house they grew up in. Okay. I've seen people who are asking for their mother and their dad, and and when they ask that, here's another thing that happens. A lot of caregivers say, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie to them. I'm going to tell them the truth. Well, let me say this. I don't believe in lying, okay? But think of it this way. This is where that person is right now, okay? They are there right now. And when we try to confront them with the truth, okay, of our reality, what's that do to them? Would you rather tango with your loved one or tangle with your loved one?
Oh, I like that.
I'd rather do the tango or the waltz.
I better start taking some dance classes soon.
I think I'd rather tango than tangle. And one day you'll come in and mom's she's break dancing or something, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, look at her. She's wide awake today. And tomorrow she doesn't want to dance at all. Just remember that it's her choice. It's her choice whether we dance or not. The relationship, my whole point here is that the relationship is more important than anything. And it's not your agenda, it is the relationship. And we need to learn to let our agendas go. And this, I would love for all facilities to understand this, because that is where I see a lot of the problem. It's easier when you're a family caregiver when you understand this. I think it's a little bit harder in a facility because you have so many people that you need to attend to, and it makes it that much harder. Here's what I want you to hear, and this is your loved one telling you this. I am who I am, but I'm different. I can't be who I was as much as I'd like to be. This disease is changing me. I am who I am, but I'm different, and this disease is changing us. You have to be willing to have a different relationship with me and let go of something that has been incredibly important to you for all these years. You've been my favorite caregiver, or you've been my favorite child, and suddenly I want to know who you are and what are you doing in my room. And in that very moment, you need to step back and you need to say, I'm sorry, I should have asked permission. Don't answer, Connie, I'm in your room every morning, remember? So one of us forgot that I had dementia. Dementia is not a memory problem. It is brain failure. It's not like kidney failure or heart failure. Those caregivers have a cakewalk compared to what caregivers for dementia folks have. Your journey is totally different. You have some of the same things, but really, all in all, it's totally different. And I want to read to you something that I got from a caregiver that really sums up what dementia is. It says, but I have learned the hard way that you can't converse or reason with dementia. It doesn't know you or care about you, and it can become enraged and violent when it feels afraid or thwarted. Dementia has its own bizarre reality and engages in magical thinking and covering behaviors that at first glance seem okay to outsiders, but break down under close scrutiny. Dementia takes responsibility for none of its choices or actions, and it blames all of its problems and failures on the caregiver, and conveniently forgets the entire hurtful scene just in time to demand yet again what it wants. Dementia slowly and insidiously destroys the mind of the person you know and love, taking over their body and looking out from their eyes. Worse yet, every time you've hardened your heart and made the decision to just deal forcibly moving them into a facility for full-time care, dementia will release its grip just enough to allow a glimpse of your loved one, and your heart breaks all over again. It's like the Pod People, only it's not a movie that ends in 90 minutes. Oh, Lori, you want the medication trick? How many of you want the medication trick?
I'm not sure what that means. Did I miss something?
How to get them to take their medication.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so often what we did in facilities was we put it in pudding, they spit it out. We put it in applesauce, they spit it out, right? We tried all of this. Raspberry jam.
I get seeds in my
teeth. Spit it out
though.
because when you crush the pills, it's gritty, okay? So if you're putting it in jam that has the seeds, raspberry or blackberry jam, first of all, it's super sweet, and they love sweet, okay? And the second thing is you've got the grittiness of the seed, so they take it. Much, much easier. Oh, I love Deborah's suggestion here.
I'm pondering that question. I'm trying to think how, everyone can register for to be part of the empowerment workshops, and I wouldn't mind having some people on all together. I can have multiple presenters, but I don't want to digress. Let me address that in a little bit. But Connie, we are down to about 8 minutes. Of which I'll give you a couple.
I'm really done. I'm looking for folks to share. I'm reading Cheryl's comment here. Let me get through it. Let's see.
Okay. Yeah. So Deborah, we do connect through Facebook often. Some of us, and we can do something through these webinars as well. If you're signed up for the empowerment list, you can email me, and maybe we can brainstorm offline a little bit, because I'm always looking for ideas on how to bring us all together a little more and help each other. So
I love Cheryl's suggestion here. It's very, very creative, and yes, it does work. That's great. Great.
I think you hit on a word there, Connie, is the creativity, the flexibility. I think personally, I haven't been in your shoes, but I know I'm a planner. Schedules, I like to have a to-do list. I like to get them done. And when I don't get them done, it hangs over me. And so I try to visualize how I would act. And I think the key for me would be to remember what's really important. What is really, does our loved one have to shower? How many times a week do they really have to shower? Or can they, how many times a week do they have to do this? And if it's that important, let's think about the strategies such as your friend came up with for showering. Let's think of creative ways and try them to make it work. But I think that the trick is, as someone kind of talked about earlier, was, saying back to them what their feelings are, and I never know the right words, but addressing their feelings and working together as a team. You got any more thoughts on that, Connie?
Well, who's got to change, Mike?
Yeah.
Who really has to make the change?
Right.
Okay, the caregiver. So if you're that type of person, which some people are, and we all, to an extent, want to get what we want to get done, then when we're dealing with someone with dementia, we definitely need, if you're hearing something, it's a plane. We definitely need to look at it from the perspective, how critical is this at this moment? What's more important at this moment? And I see a question here about meds that shouldn't be crushed, okay, and time released. Celeste, let me just give you a little hint. You're going to have to open that time release capsule and put it in the jam. There's no way to do it any other way. No, don't crush it, just put it in if it's that important. And the other thing is check the medications that your loved one is on. Do they need them all? Because I guarantee you, this is one of the reasons I did not go back into nursing, is because I could not give the medications to the people that I was administering. I am just so anti-med. I mean, there are people that are taking 20, 30, 40, 50 pills a day. It's crazy. It's crazy. So that's another one of my bugaboos. And something I'll probably be writing about very soon, because you really got to take a look at what is it doing for the person, and you know, make a judgment. Make a judgment on that. I'm reading some of the questions, and if you've read some of them, go ahead.
Oh no, I just want to apologize because I thought you were done, and then I popped up a link that probably obscured the chat. So just wanted to apologize to the audience. You can, I think some of you figured out you can minimize that pop-up. Did you have something to add there, Connie, or we're down to a couple minutes? Deborah,
I'm looking.
Deborah, I'll read your comment a little bit more thorough here after the show, and try to get back to you. And then, so yeah, it's the end of, we're up on the hour. So I would just like to encourage everybody to, you know, pop over to Connie's site and sign up and download her 7, what is it, Connie? I'm sorry. I forgot the
7 easy tips. Just call it 7 easy tips. It's got a title about that long, but it's really 7 steps of what you should do in the very beginning, and just some good information. And you know, I talk to you there, and it's also my blog, which I have several articles, and I keep putting information up there on a regular basis. So it's a place for you to get information, communicate with me, get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to share, investigate your needs, things that you need answers to. And if I don't know, I can certainly find out.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for elaborating on that. That always happens to me. I have the best intentions at the end to say certain things, and then I start realizing that I'm not. So, but anyway, that was a great show, Connie. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you. Thank you to the audience for participating and being involved. Again, you know, sign up over at her website and stay in touch. You can also pop over to Together in This, where I have I try to have streamlined and tactical information to help you, empower you to care for your loved one. And so I'm going to pop up a link also. If you haven't signed up and you want to attend more empowerment workshops, please do that. But also, if you don't mind, I see people saying some really nice things in the chat. So if you haven't, let us know how we did. If you feel like you're going to want to attend again, or share with others. I'm always looking at ways to improve this and make it best for everybody, because there's 27,000 new cases every day of dementia worldwide. And we just need to keep educating and spreading the word. And so if you haven't signed up for the empowerment workshops, I did a pop-up there. You can click on that, and that'll take you over there where you can register and be notified. In a couple weeks, we'll be having Susan McCauley and myself will be having our dementia conversation, which is a 30-minute version where we will kind of rehash and talk about a little bit of what was covered in this workshop. So make sure you get on that list, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. And if I look forward to seeing everybody next time. So thanks again, and have an empowered day.